The Tennessee Army National Guard played a key role in helping douse flames during last year's wildfire disaster in the first 24 hours of that firefight, and even helped save some homes. Those soldiers did all that firefighting from the air.
At the time, all this was just filled with smoke. It was pretty eerie.
This marks the first flight back for these Tennessee Army National Guard pilots in their Black Hawk helicopter to survey this famous swath of the Smoky Mountains that 1 year ago was awash in smoke, fire, and ash.
There were some houses, I know as we got closer down here, that were burning.
These workhorses in the sky are built to pull patients off the battlefield or out of the mountains. But during the wildfires, they were pulling water, and lots of it.
Cockpit video from 1 year ago shows a sister Black Hawk with a bucket slung below. It takes all of 3 seconds to release that 660-gallon load, enough water to fill about a half dozen bathtubs.
One of the biggest things we were looking for is a water source. We need something that's as close as we can possibly get to the fire.
These soldiers turned airborne firefighters found a helpful source in a couple of hazards at the Gatlinburg Golf Course. The 2 ponds below offered enough water for more than 3 dozen bucket drops.
So both those ponds were extremely helpful.
Yes, yeah, incredibly so.
4 Army National Guard helicopter crews were flying the morning after the firestorm rolled across the mountains, and dangerous hotspots threatened to torch even more forest and more homes.
The smoke thick through the air, houses leveled to the foundation as if they'd been bombed. I mean, just devastation upon devastation as far as you could see. And it was a nightmare that rolled through that place.
Combat veterans Glenn Corcoran and fellow pilot Matt Jaggers were in the air last November and agreed to take our cameras up on a return flight.
So the difference between, now and a year ago is pretty remarkable.
It was very much like being back in theater in Iraq or even in certain parts of Afghanistan. Just the destruction was almost unfathomable.
But on this flight, for these pilots, the rebuilding effort overshadows the scorched lots left over from last year's firefight.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
From the side door, Corcoran points to one house as an example of why some homes survived and others didn't.
The built-up areas got cleared, basically fire breaks built into it.
Every swivel of the head brings back those before and after contrasts during an unforgettable day that totaled more than 18 hours for these helicopter pilots and crews.
All right, kind of head towards that big hotel.
Flying about 2,000 feet above Gatlinburg, Corcoran calls on his fellow pilots to descend toward a stand of trees to see if a house with a green roof he tried to save survived the flames.
So we were having to come in here, sneak around these trees to try to drop down to get underneath that porch.
So what's it like to see it today?
It was pretty good, because I was kind of getting worried.
The final leg of this flight takes us to the starting point for the original fire blamed for much of the destruction in the Smokies.
You can see the fall color, and it actually provides a lot of really great contrast.
In the 5 minutes to make it some 5 miles up the valley to the rugged chimney tops, the crew points out the fall foliage on one side of the mountain slopes and the scorched earth on the other side, revealing how the flames hopscotched the ridges.
You can very clearly see the path where the fire took, where it just jumped, and then ended up all the way in Gatlinburg.
But it isn't the wide-angle view of the damage pilot Matt Jaggers focused on. It is the construction underway in the mountains he embraces, flying 2,000 feet above.
I guess what I would describe as the true spirit of the volunteer state, seeing how everybody in the communities come together, whether it's rental properties or people who live there, and how the community's trying to rebuild.